Trump, in fact, has no strategy, and Trump is hostile to Europe. He regards the EU, he said, as his enemy, and it's creating the prelude to a much greater crisis in which the Europeans and the British are going to have to face what to do with the $300 billion plus in frozen Russian assets and giving it to the Ukrainians to continue the war in light of what looks like a coming failure.
Let's welcome to the show Sidney Blumenthal, the former senior advisor to the Clinton administration. Sidney, lovely to have you back on. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. It's morning here.
Good morning to you. Sidney, what do you think Donald Trump will make of this so-called coalition of the willing? He's asked Europe to pull its weight, complained that Europe hadn't and had become complacent. Is he going to be G'd up by this press conference?
Well, I thought that Prime Minister Starmer made a statement that was essential for him to make. He flattered Donald Trump, and he praised the progress that his diplomatic team made. Trump's team did not make this. It was the British who were chiefly responsible for forging this proposal for a ceasefire that Putin has summarily rejected with his maximalist terms again. So the short-term patch is coming off. Trump, in fact, has no strategy, and Trump is hostile to Europe. He regards the EU, he said, as his enemy, and it's creating the prelude to a much greater crisis in which the Europeans and the British are going to have to face what to do with the $300 billion plus in frozen Russian assets and giving it to the Ukrainians to continue the war in light of what looks like a coming failure.
Sidney, are you not willing at all to give Trump any credit? The fact that we're even having a conversation about peace talks in Ukraine. And even though, quite rightly, you point out that Vladimir Putin has so far rejected what's on the table so far. But the fact that the conversation is happening, is that not a credit to Trump and his administration?
His motive is that Ukraine is in the way to a larger deal with Russia. He admires and looks up to Putin as a kind of father figure, ideal strongman. According to Fiona Hill, who was the chief of the Russia section of the National Security Council under Trump in his first administration, who was present at the conversations of Putin and Trump, Trump had no idea how to interpret what Putin was saying, and that Putin in the translations was not coming across as what Hill recognized as ridiculing Trump. So Putin is playing him. He kept Trump's envoy, Steve Witkoff, who is incredibly ill-prepared for the role, who went to Moscow to see Putin. He's a real estate developer. He has no background in Russia whatsoever. Putin kept him waiting 8 hours as a sign of his dominance. This is Trump has no idea what next steps are. He personally dislikes Zelensky and resents him because Zelensky did not go along with his blackmail of trying to dig up false political dirt on Biden that led to Trump's first impeachment. Trump is just overflowing with resentment and grievances, as you saw by his incredible speech at the Department of Justice, where he called all press coverage that was critical of him as, quote, illegal. That's where his brain is at.
Do you think that Trump has the mechanisms to bring Putin to the table? Some people may quibble whether he wants to do that or not. I mean, others have been saying that actually what Trump really is after is a Nobel Peace Prize. We've heard from Keir Starmer saying that he is absolutely convinced that Donald Trump wants a ceasefire, wants to bring peace to Ukraine. Do you think, Sidney, that he has the means to bring Putin to the table? He made some threats earlier this week saying that they can make life really difficult for Russia, implying that there are other sanctions that the US have got a lever to pull. Are you convinced that he can bring Putin to the table?
Yet to be seen. What we do know is that the United States, in theory, in principle, can do whatever it wishes to do diplomatically, militarily, politically. But under Trump, our power has been systematically thrown away. He doesn't honor any of our past agreements, Trump, that is, that have been made by past presidents. He regards himself as the beginning and end of history. He wants peace, but as a condition to making a deal with Putin. He wants financial benefits, not only for himself, but for his personal allies. This is kleptocrat to kleptocrat. And anyone who thinks otherwise is delusionary about the ultimate motive.
Sidney, just before we go, some domestic politics in the US. The government avoided a shutdown on Friday when some Democratic senators ended up voting with Donald Trump's administration. What's happening to the Democrats? Are they going to start resisting this administration, or is that going to come later?
The Democrats have face a Hobson's choice of bad choices. They either could have accepted a shutdown of the government and likely responsibility for that, or they could have voted to keep the government open under the Trump Republican budget, which is draconian. But the Hobson's choice is that, as Senator Schumer, the Democratic leader in the Senate, suggests, that if you shut down the government, then Trump can implement the Trump-Musk program of completely gutting the government on his own without any compunctions whatsoever. So there are no choices that are good here. And as a result, the Democrats are all over the map and have fragmented and are very angry with each other. The left is furious at Schumer, who thinks he's taken one for the team. And the House leadership under Hakeem Jeffries is angry at Schumer, and Schumer thinks he's done the right thing. And the Democrats are basically nowhere politically right now.